All right, guys, welcome back to another video. It's your man Jay. It's time to talk about the Google Pixel 10 Pro XL versus the somewhat consider the king of smartphones, the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra. So these phones definitely are big boys. These are some big phones. So I'm going to get into the hardware, design. We'll look at cameras. And things like that. So I'll try not to get this too long, but we're going to just knock it out. So first I want to start with a little bit of spec talk. So the Pixel 10 Pro XL is 232 grams and the Galaxy S25 Ultra is 218 grams. And I got to tell you folks, you can definitely feel the difference. You can tell the difference between the Pixel. I'm not going to say it's heavier, but technically it is, but you can feel just the weight distribution differently on these phones. So that's something to take note of. The 25 Ultra has a 6.9 inch display that is HDR10 plus with 2600 peak brightness for the nits. And the Pixel has 2200 peak brightness for the nits, and it's HDR10 as well. So they're both 120 hertz, but we'll get into the displays and my thoughts on that in a little bit. But the Pixel is 20 by 9 and the Ultra is 19 by 5 by 9. So, there should be a little bit difference in hand feel there, but nonetheless, good to go. So the Pixel Ultra, the Pixel 10 Pro Ultra has a 50 megapixel main shooter, and the Samsung has a 200 megapixel main shooter. A 48 megapixel telephoto lens or periscope lens, and the Ultra has a 10 megapixel telephoto lens, but it has a 50 megapixel periscope lens. So you'll notice these things when you start to zoom in, basically, on these phones. And then you have a 48 megapixel ultra wide and a 50 megapixel ultra wide on the S25 Ultra. So both these phones can shoot 8K, but not going to get into that. Just letting you know that it's there. Now the Pixel selfie camera is a 42 megapixel camera, ultra wide. The Samsung is a 12 megapixel, the same 12 megapixel, and it's just a standard wide. They both can do 4K 60 up on the front cameras, and I will show you some content in the cameras for sure. So this is an interesting one right here. The specs are cool and everything, but let me get into the hardware, my thoughts on these phones real quick here, because as a consumer, you want to love these phones a lot, but they're just not. When you start to compare them, your favorite phone can get its butt kicked, and that's just how it is. Oh, and just for reference, I'm recording with the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7. Sorry about that, Z Fold 7. So you guys were asking about the microphone I use. The microphone I use is an external microphone. It's by 5.5. It's the K688, I believe it is. So let's get into my thoughts on this. So the challenger here is the Pixel. And the Pixel 10 Pro XL has a nice 6.8 inch display. It's rounded on the corners, like really rounded. It has a nice camera bar on the back. It has these, the polished sides, which I am not a fan of. But on this Moonstone, it actually looks a little different this year. It doesn't have as many fingerprints, but they're there. But overall, this is a beautiful looking phone. With it being the challenger, it's supposed to be better than the Ultra, but I got to tell you, the Ultra still has some advantages because it has the brushed titanium all around, and this is like the blue color. But this brushed look, it's better to me. Like the sides, I'm glad they're not polished. But this camera module system is definitely dated. And Samsung's going to stick with this design too for the new versions too. So don't look for anything on that. But Samsung has that S Pen, and Samsung has a SIM card slot as well, which Google decided to remove. But you do get this beautiful, another update. They are on these updates, man. You get this beautiful display, and it's anti-reflective, and it's gorgeous. And let me show you if I can get some of the light right there so I can show you the difference between what they're going to look like for the shining on the light. There you go. Can you tell that Samsung has kind of an anti-reflective coating on theirs? In person, it definitely, you can definitely tell. But this is up to interpretation of what you think is really good and what's not. So yes, I will be cleaning the phones a lot during the video, more than likely. So if you've never watched me before, that's definitely how I do it. So yeah, the screens on here are very good. The hardware on this though goes to the Pixel. The Pixel definitely looks better. It's just my personal opinion. The Google Pixel 10 Pro looks better. This color looks better. The camera bar looks better. It just looks better. It's just a better looking phone. In-hand feel is better. It's just better in that aspect. So yeah, that's how I feel about the hardware and design. It's just a better looking phone and it's a better feeling phone. And even though it has a 6.8 versus a 6.9, this is still a very big phone. And, you know, it's just going to be one of those things that either you hate it or love it. But they have a Pro model for this right here. And then they have smaller variants of the 25. As a matter of fact, recording this video, Samsung just released the S25 FE. I'll go over that in another video. But yeah. And they also released the Ultra, the Tab Ultra and the 11 series. So, but yeah, hardware wise, design wise, Google definitely takes it. It's just a better looking phone. It feels better. And it's just better overall in hand, just as a whole. Now let's take a look at the screens on here, because you've always heard me complain about Google's brightness on their phones, and it is not bright. And the numbers on paper show that it's definitely not going to be brighter than the Samsung phone. But let's look at the brightness and the tones and everything, and let's take a look at some video. So as you can see here, again, this is where Google kind of falls apart with their screen brightness and just the way it displays content. It has good color representation. It's just not a bright display. Google's phone is at about 75% or so. The Samsung is all the way down to like 30%. Now look at the way this content looks. Let's go ahead and pop it open this way. And they're playing at the same speed here, but it just shouldn't be this way. Like the Samsung display is, first of all, both displays are phenomenal, but the Samsung display is brighter, more punchy, more vivid. It's always been like this with Samsung displays, but this is just what it is. And so, you know, while the Google looks great, the colors are accurate. Pretty much the Google's phones display the colors a little bit deeper and a little bit more closer to reality. But the fact of the matter is, you know, both phones show the colors fairly well. The Samsung has it as a more vibrant, sharper look. And the Pixel has a deeper tone that's a little bit more closer to reality. But in the end, a person, if you've never seen what I'm looking at here, you're going to not know. You're going to say, oh, if you're just holding one of these phones, that's just how it is. But in the display category, I give that to Samsung for sure. It's not stomping all over the Pixel 10 Pro XL's display, but the brightness is better and the colors are just as accurate, and it's a little bit more sharper in detail. That's the way it goes for the display. So now I'm gonna talk about the cameras. All right, guys, so there it is. That's the quick look at some of the camera functionality of these phones. And I went straight to the 100 times zoom because people are excited that the Google phones are now doing this. But Samsung is clearly better. Like the Pixel, and I put them on a tripod to get the most stable effect. And it seems like the Pixel just was kind of hunting around to lock in. I just zoomed across 3 neighborhoods over pretty much, and it gets the zoom. But the what's being produced is silly and comical at best, in my opinion. It's ridiculous. Mind you, I had them on a tripod, so I'm not touching the phones. And even doing that, the Pixel still just kind of hunted around, just couldn't lock in. And so eventually I had to manually position the Pixel to snap the same photos on the Samsung that it didn't really hunt at all, if any. It just locked in and it took the photo, and that was it. And I'm not saying that the 100 times zoom on this camera is crushing everything out there, or is crushing the Pixel entirely, because I don't use 100 times zoom. I did a 30 times zoom too, and a 30 times zoom is actually a little bit better on both. Actually, a lot better on both. It really did better on it was a lot better for Google with 30 times zoom than their 100 times zoom. But the Samsung at every level just looked better. So I didn't feel the need to go into 1,000 photos just to show you this. It's just better. It's just better. And that's just what it is. So software wise, this is, it's kind of just comes down to what you think is good software. Personally, I like both of these, but I think I like stock Android, but Google or Samsung has a better offering of a suite of things to give you, even if you don't think you're going to use them at all. I mean, they have a theme store still, folks. A theme store. They're really still hammering down on customizations, and I wish Google would too. It's definitely personal preference or whatever, but everybody has something they might like about a phone, and I really like a lot of the customizations that you can do on OnePlus and then also Samsung. However, it's not a requirement. It's not a requirement. Stability wise, they're both very stable. Software suite, Samsung wins. They're offering way more. And then if I pull out this S Pen right here, it's done. It's done for. That's something that a lot of people love. And it is a much appreciated extra on the Ultra and the Samsung suite as a whole. So I give the head nod again to Samsung. It's just a better phone in that aspect. Performance wise, they both perform the same. Now benchmarks, the Pixel loses, but regular day-to-day usage, the Pixel feels smoother. It feels fluid. It feels really good. So I'll call performance kind of a wash, because some people are going to continue to talk about benchmarks, but consumers don't care about benchmarks. They want their phones to work. Both of these phones run very fast and smooth and fluid, but I like the fluidity of the Pixel better. I think it's a little bit more, not polished, but it just flows better, if that means anything. Now, where the Pixel is matching or possibly exceeding is battery life. The Pixel battery life is sick, folks. I mean, it's just sick. It's so good. It's hard to explain how you can make it through days with this one. And you can make it through days with this one, but the Pixel doesn't beat the Ultra by a lot. But in my testing of both batteries, the Pixel wins by just a fraction. So I could still call the battery a wash, but the Pixel does edge it out just a little bit. Now, value to consumer as far as price goes, the Samsung is the better value, because the Pixel still coming in with 128 gig options on their Pro models. This is it starts at a 256 gig for the Ultras, as for the Plus, the XL models. But just having the option for 128 gig in your lineup at all is still very lame if it's not like your entry level ones. But nonetheless, it's value to consumer. If you're just looking at buying the entry level of both of these, again, if you're looking at a complete camera, software, battery, just everything, the Samsung may not beat out the Pixel in every category, but it's more refined and put together as a package. Yeah. So value to consumer, definitely the Ultra. Definitely the Ultra. So wanted to do a quick video and just kind of discuss these things with you. I hope you enjoyed. And which one do you think you would buy if you had to keep it for 12 months? I'll see you in the next video. Take care.